Hello guys, welcome back. Since I know all sorts of people watch the channel, I'm going to tell you that if you're very Christian and you very dearly love your beliefs, please don't watch this video. I'm not saying this to hurt you. Um, you guys know I grew up Roman Catholic. And today was Totems Go Crazy Day. And I think I told you the mail arrived and the thing I needed never did come, so it's good I went out because I would have been having a panic attack, full-blown one. So we decided, I wasn't going to go to the park, so we decided to decorate some more. And as I'm getting Freddy Krueger out, true story, and hang him up on my porch as I have for like about a decade, I see the spider on him, and at first I'm like, and then I'm like, oh, it's okay, it's just a Halloween spider. Somehow got, oh my god, it's real. So I was like, okay, either Loki's having fun, or it's just natural phenomena, or it's Spider Totem trying to say, hey, Spider Totem. And I'm like, I gotta let go of this totem stuff for a while. And then I had this thing with Cougar today, and I'm like, okay. And I was just asking the universe, I said, I feel like I'm trying to find something. I'm trying to find something I forgot. Something about God. And once I have this, I will be okay. I will let go of God. And I actually looked up something that said let go of God. It was like God, the universe, Buddha, whomever, answering me, pray Loki, maybe Odin, of let go of God. And I looked this up. And I think this woman turns out to be an atheist, but she grew up Roman Catholic too. I'm like, what are the coincidences? And all the stuff she went through, I went through too. And we both went to Bible study. And she talked about how horrific the Bible is. And it is. If you read it, it's like, oh my god, this is the scariest deity in existence in the Old Testament. Old Testament, Jehovah, scariest God in existence. And, I try to watch what I say on the channel, but it's horrible. I can give you a link to her video if you like, if you ask, I'll give you a link. But keep in mind she does go on to become an atheist, and if that's like one of your things, you don't have to go watch it. And so she figures, well, the New Testament's coming up. The New Testament's coming up with Jesus, the Jesus we all love and know and who loves us. The only person in the Bible more scary than Old Testament Jehovah is biblical Jesus. He would shank you. He is mean, short-tempered, and does all these cultish things and believed the world was ending shortly after his death. He was crazy, and people tried to do an intervention. And I'm like, I remember now how traumatized I was, and I would be trying to, as I was going through high school now, I'd be trying to read the New Testament and read about crazy antisocial Jesus who had such a short fuse that he once killed a fig tree because it didn't have fruit for him out of season. This is true, read your Bible. And he just was just as antisocial as his father. He was not love and light and kindness like we believe today. He was a short-tempered bastard who spoke in riddles. And even his people couldn't understand him, and he would yell at them that if you can't understand this specific parable, how are you going to understand any of them? And he loved to use things as metaphors, like slavery. Jesus didn't come down and say, no, don't have slaves. Jesus said to them, well, God treats you like you treat your slaves. He just beats some of you more than he beats the others. And I'm like, I remember reading this. And then you go on to Revelations, and I did a whole Bible study in Revelations too. And you're like, this is fucking crazy. This is the damn weirdest book I've ever read. And people have been reading this thing for 2,000 years, and nobody up until like basically modern era has read this and gone, holy shit, this is fucking nuts. Any other religion, in comparison, sounds relatively benign. You could take all of the other religions together, and they sound relatively benign. Odin sounds pretty damn chill compared to half the stories in the Bible. They all do. No matter how scary a story we have about our gods, the pagan gods, there's nothing to match some of the levels of insanity in the Bible, including child sacrifice, because sometimes God lets you do those things. And, like, I remember, like, reading about New Testament Jesus and how he hated his mom, and his mom would come see him, and he'd be like, she's not my mother. And, how he treated her like shit, and how he treated people horribly, and he was like, well, if you're not going to give up your family and come follow me, I don't want you. And he would advocate violence and everything. This is biblical Jesus. Biblical Jesus would just straight up shank you because you were in his way, and he was talking about getting swords in that. I'm like, how the fuck did we get from this son of a bitch? This sounds like he should be a child of Odin, and one of the unstable ones that Odin won't take credit for. I'm hearing, And we've got this Jesus now that he hugs people and he's blessing people. I'm like, this Jesus, biblical canon Jesus, would kill Jesus of today. He would straight up kill him because this Jesus is scary. And I remember reading about this Jesus because Catholics do not read our Bible. We just don't. So when we start reading our Bible, we're doomed to failure. We haven't been brought up reading it and been told really nice translations of it. By the time we start reading it, we're usually high school or adults, and they'll say, oh, it's just a metaphor, or as she was saying in her talk, it's like a Bronze story to make God look impressive. Like, we know a lot of stories were straight up lies, especially the war stories. And stuff like Exodus never actually happened because they never had any of these things happen. And I'm like, this is why I ended up leaving the church, because there is no God of love and compassion in the Old Testament, and Jesus wasn't loving and compassionate. If you watch old movies of biblical Jesus that were closer to biblical Jesus, he looks like Charles Manson. He straight up looks like Charles Manson. He looks like he would break into your house in the middle of the night and kill you. In fact, we were raised to be frightened of Jesus. And I'm like, where did this God of love come that only arrived when I was in high school or like shortly after? And by then, the God of love was way too late. By the time the God of love and the Jesus of love showed up, it was way too late, my friends, because that is not who the Roman Catholic Church believes in. And again, if you're Christian somehow hung in there for some strange reason, I am not saying that to make you feel horrible. I could never believe it. I thought, like, maybe I'm dumb. Why is everybody else reading this book of atrocities and rape and incest and slavery, and God drowned everybody in the world except for Noah and his family, and then after he tells Noah, maybe I went a bit far. I shouldn't have killed everybody. I'm sorry. I totally regret that. Tell you what, I'm gonna put a rainbow in the sky to promise you I'm never gonna do it again. But next time, I'm gonna end it by fire. What kind of God does that? And even if you take them as stories, as metaphors, which they all are, as a poem or something, it's still the most frightening deity and son of a deity I've ever seen. I thought, well, therefore, it stands to reason whoever I knew is God is not this God, because this God would shank you too. This God would have you sacrifice your children, no problem. And I was like, who was God then? And I don't know. But I know he had nothing to do with any established Christianity. And I know he sure as hell wasn't the New Testament or Old Testament deity, because he didn't chill out in the New Testament. That's what scared me about God. He didn't chill out, and his son was just as edgy as his dad was. Which is why I probably shouldn't have had children. I'm getting back here. And I'm thinking, we have stories of our gods that people will say, well, their gods are straight up. At least our stories, and this is not our God better, your God worse. At least our stories, we look at them, we go, well, that is a metaphor from a time when life was violent and brutal and short. We don't literally have to believe them. You don't have to literally believe that Loki has a magic pair of shoes that lets him fly through the air. You can just say, well, metaphor, poetic, blah, blah, blah. Uh, he goes, I can walk on water too. Eh! And I'm like, this actually kind of was the universe going, this is why this is not working. Because Cougar showed up, and Cougar's like, I will take all this stuff away from you, but you've got to know Cougar's only and ever message for me is, you're trying to reinvent the wheel, and you are looking over there when you should be looking here. Cougar apparently is pro Odin. And Cougar is like, you are looking way over there, my friend, when you should be looking here, because this is a deity with you and taking care of you. That deity is scary. And I wasn't getting the message from Cougar. I was like, no, Cougar, you can't be saying this. I must be having a mental breakdown. And then out of the blue, it popped in my head, look up, letting go of God. And I'm playing this, and I know it ends up with her being an atheist. And I'm like, that's okay. It seems like a lot of people who grow up Roman Catholic either become lax, atheist, or pagan, like I did. It's like, if you can survive the trauma of being brought up Catholic, a lot of us just wash out because we made the mistake of opening the Bible and we actually read what was in it, and it's like, I think I'm traumatized for the rest of my life. And I still don't know. There's still this kind of whimsy and kind of nostalgia in me for New Age hippie Jesus, a New Age hippie God, but I'm like, they don't exist in the Bible and they don't exist in the church. I don't know whence they came from, but they really never existed in the Bible. They just developed, I think, in the 60s and the 70s when everything was becoming peace and counterculture, and I think it's when they started to chill out a little bit because everybody was doing drugs and everybody was pretty chill, and all of a sudden God was peace and love. I honestly think that's where it came from, because I'm like, up until then, he was pretty much a hard ass, and it's only when everybody started to, do drugs and attend concerts that God became this God of love and the God of the folk masses, and everything was a God of love. He was not this hard ass that was going to burn you in fire because you randomly pissed him off over some kind of shit. So, I know we're going to get this channel shut down, but that was actually really soul cleansing for me, because Cougar's like, you're trying to go back to something that doesn't exist. I hate to tell you, honey, but New Age Jesus is New Age Jesus, and New Age God is New Age God, and here is what you're trying to go back to. Now, some people will say the Odin I work with or the Loki I work with are New Age versions, but at least I have interactions with them. I don't know where New Age Jesus comes from. I don't know where New Age God comes from. I don't know if they're the deities our ancestors had and they just answer us and they're like, fine, let's just pretend, who cares? Or what it is, because my experience of God was definitely not Old Testament Jehovah. I could tell you that right now, because he didn't agree with anything the church said. And he apparently sent me this video, so I'm getting bolder is who I'm getting. I'm getting bolder. I'm like, that actually makes more sense, because I'm like, this God was so angry. And his son was so angry. You think somebody born at Christmas would have a more cheery disposition, but he was angry. And it's just like, okay, I don't know, but that was like a really healing thing for me. And I'm not sharing that to make people feel bad. Unfortunately, please take this the right way. I know a lot of young people that are like growing up and questioning their faith and that will sometimes watch a channel like this, and I'm like, don't quit your faith just because I had a bad experience. You sort out you. Don't go quitting your faith because I had a bad experience and I grew up and I was kind of traumatized by the Bible. Don't quit your faith for that, because there are millions of people out there that are apparently just fine being Catholic or, Lutheran, whatever flavor of Christianity they are. So, just don't, go, well, this person on YouTube said that they don't believe in this God and, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Don't just stop going to church because, you saw that there are adults that, don't. believe. Give yourself time. Give yourself time. Give yourself time. And if you're growing up Christian in prayer and that, maybe other churches are a lot better at showing you a God of love. I can tell you the Roman Catholic Church is really bad about it. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.